Welcome to Crown Level Confidence with Janae, the podcast where we empower and inspire you to achieve unstoppable confidence and self-belief. I'm your host, Janae, a wife, mom, entrepreneur, as well as a certified life coach and motivational speaker with a background in humanities and communication. I'm excited to navigate this transformative journey with you. In each episode, I'll bring you candid conversations, practical tips, and inspiring stories from remarkable women who have conquered many challenges and risen to new heights. Get ready to have your crown straightened as we listen, learn, and laugh together so we can level up. Let's dive in. Hey y'all, welcome to this latest episode of Crown Level Confidence. I am your host, Janae, and I'm so excited to bring to you a phenomenal woman. This is Chef Katrina. Katrina, say hey.
Hey.
All right. Y'all, you know I only bring the top-notch women. And I want to clarify that by saying top-notch can mean so many different things. So whether you're a stay-at-home, work-from-home mom like myself, or you're killing it in corporate, business owner, whatever that looks like for you, you're top-notch from the inside out, okay? So let me tell you about how Katrina is top-notch, and then we're going to dive into what I know is going to be a great, candid conversation. So Chef Katrina, a former Disney chef and restaurateur, okay, she's now turned small business consultant, top Pinterest marketing strategist, and y'all, she's the CEO of Truth Bomb Academy. What? Yes, and she is gracing us right with this conversation. So if we were in a live studio audience, like everyone would be screaming up and down, cheering, and all the things. And I know you're doing that from wherever you are. So Chef Katrina, let's just dive right in. You left Disney and you're starting now working exclusively with women in business. How did this happen? Like, bring us in.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this question because everyone's like, okay, I go by Chef Katrina and everyone's like, why chef? You teach business strategies, you work with women in business. Like, this makes no sense. Like, are you cooking for them? What are you doing? And I said,
Right.
well, it's not that. And it is, right? So one of the cool things about being from the environment with Disney is that I loved cooking for people. By all means, I love cooking for people. But the more I worked in the corporate environment, I realized I wasn't that passionate about cooking. And what started to catch my attention is I was starting to read books that were more on business. So my colleagues were reading culinary books and I was reading business and money management books. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm in the wrong place, right? Like,
Yeah.
maybe my interests have started to shift and this isn't where I need to spend the rest of my future. So I had the opportunity. I went from full-time to part-time at Disney. And during my part-time phase, I thought it'd be a great idea to start a restaurant. Yeah. So I purchased a restaurant that I learned a lot from. So it was a restaurant that was previously established.
Okay.
I came in, it was a wing and sandwich shop, right?
Can't go wrong.
Yeah. I did not know what I was getting into. I thought food was food, but y'all, for wings, you cray.
Yeah, that's a level.
Cray, okay? Burnt wings, overdone wings, crispy wings, fried wings, your sauce. Oh my, like you, like, that world was not what I was expecting. I was like, y'all are just insane in a good way. Learned a lot about running a business that I never had access to. When you're working at Disney, you kind of work in like a silo. You're working one aspect. But now when you own a restaurant, you're wearing that multiple hat factor, right? So now you're running the employees, you're running the inventory. Like, you don't have any help. You're pretty much are the help. So different learning experience. We ended up opening and closing, my business partner and I, in 9 months. It was fantastic. Wow. Yeah, it was beautiful. Best hands-on business experience I can ever gift anybody. Go fail forward in business and look at like all the places you could learn from. That's what I did. I walked away from that and I said, what did we learn? Yeah. And from there, I realized one of the things that us as small business owners, especially when we're in brick and mortar, we don't have access to the training and online education like industries like network marketing or entrepreneurship have access to. We just don't have the time to invest in a marketing tool or to learn it because we're running the day-to-day operations of a business.
True.
So I thought to myself, what could I do, knowing what I know now, to help small businesses stay in, but do marketing, but do it in a minimalistic way, but still have a bigger impact. So I dove into like the world of online digital marketing back in 2012 when it was like the thing to do, right?
Yeah.
So I got into that. I ended up working with a company that was teaching and training the network marketing industry. And I got to work with some incredible individuals, people that were making 6, 7 figures in that industry and know jack about marketing. And I was like, how did you build your business to this level and still not know how to run a business?
Yeah.
That was mind blowing to me. Like, you
Right.
could be successful in these industries and still have no idea what the structure of your business look like.
Mm-hmm.
And so fast forward, working with them, consulting, doing coaching work, one of the things I started recognizing is I was tapping back into those women in those industries, in terms of like digital marketing, course creation, and those types of women that are out there. They were burning out. All of a sudden they
Mm-hmm.
would be in business and then they would be out of business. Right. And
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on? Like, these were women that had built these businesses, extraordinary incomes, teams, everything, only to shut the doors down. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, there's something going on here. So I'm a curious kid. I'm super curious. So Kalia, I went in and I said, okay, what is it that we women need? Right? What was the difference? And I saw women that were always struggling with time management, that the way it was delivered to us,
Mm-hmm.
how we were told to manage our time, coloring books, use your highlighter, like block time, do all these things. And I was like, I just saw women like tear up when they would sit through these seminars and
Mm-hmm.
these guys would tell them, this is how you build your life. This is how you build your schedule. And they were just like, I don't know how you do this while I'm trying to raise my kids.
That part.
Right.
Hello.
It's like, who's going to take care of the family? Who's going to make sure dinner's on the table, the laundry's done, the house
Mhm.
is clean, the kids are like,
Yeah.
who's going to do that if this is the type of structure, my DMO, as they called it, daily method of operation?
Yeah.
If I've got other things on my plate, other humanity responsibilities, like
Right.
raising human beings in the world.
Yes.
And I knew right then and there was a problem with how we delivered time management to women. And I didn't know, I couldn't put my finger on it, but it's stuck in the back of my brain.
Yeah.
Something needs to shift for how women perceive time. And so that was like kind of like the start of like a rumbling. And then about 2 years ago, and I'm just, okay, I'm gonna just say this. So 2 years ago, I burnt out,
Okay. All right.
and I was talking with my business coach and we had a great conversation. At the end of it, I was in tears because he's
Mhm.
like, this is what you're going to do to level up your business. And I was like, dear God, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that just feels like everything I've already done. And I don't feel comfortable in my own skin doing that type of business anymore.
Mhm.
So I did something I've never done. I hired a female business muse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So a business muse, if you don't know, is somebody that is more connected to earth, more grounded, more spiritual, but in like a more intuitive way, I guess you can say. Like, we call it the woo-woo, but as I've come to understand, women, we are not woo-woo. We just have a sixth sense and we
Mhm.
experiencing things through more feelings and more connected. We're just
Mhm.
that type of person. And so I was explaining with her what I was going to do with my business, and she asked me a question, and I'll modify it for this particular podcast because I'm not sure the language is appropriate.
We try to be
Um,
family friendly, but
but she asked me, she's like, "Well, have you consulted and it's
Mm.
your female business, right?"
Mhm.
And she used the P word, so I'm just going to put that out there. So figure out what that word is for you.
Yes.
And I was offended and curious all at the same time.
Right. Like what? Wait, what?
Like, what, you want me to go talk to my lady bits? Like, I don't,
Mhm.
I don't, this is business, right? This
Right.
doesn't make sense. But it triggered something in me saying, okay, I realized that I'd been cut off from the neck down. I wasn't comfortable in my body as a female,
Mm.
right? I was intellectually up here in business. I knew how to do the business. I have the mindset for it, but I wasn't listening to my rest of me. I
Mm.
had shut down and cut down because, I'm supposed to be this professional. I'm supposed to act and be a certain way.
Mhm.
You can't have family be it. Like, I just got all these layers put on top of me. So long story short of all this conversation was, for me, I started working with women because I recognized that we needed a different approach to how we accept what success looks like for women,
Mhm.
especially along the lines of, it's business success typically for the male looks like, I've had this type of financial success. My company is doing this.
Mhm.
The question then came up is, what does it look like for women in the different seasons they are as they raise their family?
Right.
So if they can keep a business going from when the child is small and the business stays small, but it's still profitable. It's still a business for them. And then it hits, a bigger status or grows with them as they have more time to devote to that. Do we consider that success? Might it take a little longer, but keep us in the game longer to make a bigger impact? Instead of us burning out trying to hit that unicorn status or that level of income, but then not be able to sustain it is really a bigger issue. So that's really where I started diving into and looking at what does it look like for a female to build a business while listening to her body and honoring her cycle just as much as the men have been honoring their cycle and how they've been building businesses. So what does that look like and how do we blend it together?
Wow.
I know. So much like that.
No, it's awesome. We're so, as women, right, crucial, vital, right, integral to the forwarding of humankind, really, every society. Yet so overlooked, devalued in almost every area, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like anyone who's currently here was here by way of a woman, let's just be clear. And yet we find ourselves, left out of these considerations when it comes to furthering our business or even just developing ourselves personally, right? So a lot of women, and I've yet to encounter this personally, and I leave room for it. I pray against it, but I leave room for it, right? You're like, I've been this vessel of education, learning, life, and vitality for my family and for the babies I've raised. But what about me? Right? What about my goals, my aspirations, whatever those look like. And so I'm so grateful for all of the women, first of all, you've already helped and those you'll continue to serve because these conversations need to be had, right? I'm so grateful that you have this discovery, this epiphany, the light bulbs came on for you. So that way you can, pass that light on to others because we need it, right? As women leveling up, building our confidence, like here in this space, we always talk about there's different categories and levels of confidence. It's just not one size fits all. I'm confident, boom. Okay. Okay. So in this business space, that I definitely belong to, and you do, and so many other women who are listening, we're like, okay, we're faced with so many ultimatums or narrow choices. I'm either killing it at home and suffering in business, right? Or I'm suffering at home and killing it in business. And some part of us has to die or has to suffer or sacrifice tremendously. And it's just
you
like,
have to sacrifice something. Like, do you realize what we are already doing as women? And it doesn't comprehend in the language and in the industry, especially the business industry. It was never designed to. I heard this from a friend of mine. She said she was talking to her mentor, and she says the business industry was never designed to include women.
Right, 100%. No.
Right. It wasn't designed for us. And so I had to figure out, like, why wasn't it designed for us? And that goes back to what I just shared earlier. So men are on that circadian rhythm. We all know circadian rhythm, like we watch the sun, we wake up, we go to sleep kind of a thing. Well, they put that on us as women, that's the same thing we experience. But the circadian rhythm is the male hormonal cycle. So they cycle in 24 hours. They wake up, their testosterone, their everything, like they're good. That's when they are just blooming, right? In the afternoon, their estrogen kicks in, right? They're more social. That's why they tend to have social hour in the afternoon. That's when all their meetings are happening. That's typically they've started to schedule business inside of their own cycle, whether they realized it or not for the last, centuries that we've been doing this. But men have built business around how they feel and when they're most productive. And so when we were invited to step into the business world back in the 1960s, as women, we started getting into all areas of industry, right? Like we really stepped into it, but it was all designed around the male hormonal system. And we have to be aware of that.
Right.
So the question then goes, well, if do we as women have a circadian rhythm? The answer is yes and no. So women have an infradian rhythm. Now, this might be the first time you've ever heard it called that. I knew up until March of this year, I didn't know that's what we called it. We just called it your period.
Right.
But the period it's that time of the month. But the thing is the infradian rhythm is that entire cycle that we experience hormonally and mentally as women. But we're not given the language for it because we just got into the medical industry. We just had the ability to start studying the science about what makes us tick. So we actually have a name for our cycle, the 28-day cycle. It's called the infradian rhythm. Within that rhythm, we have 4 phases with that we experience. Now, they're not like hard phases, they
Right.
blend in, right? So, how do you design a business, or how do women embrace that cyclical nature and
Mm-hmm.
recognize, well, if you're in your follicular phase, the first phase after your period, which is like 5 to 7 days, this is the time period when actually your brain is taking care of complex situations. It's great for you if you're in business to be planning things, marketing strategy or financial strategy that time of that month. This is where we are high level thinking during that first phase.
Mm-hmm.
The ovulatory phase, where we could get pregnant, right? We typically, this is our time where we're actually more active in communication. This is actually a good time to have conversations with your spouse, with your business partners, because you actually have a better opportunities to connect and communicate what you really desire. Even my introverts, you will find that you want to get a little social during this time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's normal during this time of phase. Then there is the luteal phase, which is where we get down to business. Details matter. So this is where sometimes you start watching your cycle, you'll find that you're more detail oriented, you're more task oriented, your productivity is through the roof during these 7 to 10 days, and you have no idea why, but all of a sudden you just want to get everything done. The
Oh,
house needs to be clean, your business needs to get clean, everything needs to get done. But it
yes.
usually happens in a period of time. And then what I found was really interesting is that when they get into the menstruational phase, that phase, the woman's brain actually is the most active. Left and right hemisphere of your brain is having more conversations and more connectivity than any other time during your month,
Mm.
which is why we need rest during that time, because we are actively using more of our brain, which means our body needs to recover from that. So we call that the menstrual phase, your recovery phase. Take a day off,
Mm-hmm.
learn how to schedule that downtime for yourself. And so I thought to myself, if we could incorporate this in how we design businesses as entrepreneurs, what would shift for women? What would that confidence level look like? What would that stress reduction look like? Because you're not in this 24-hour go. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're going to stretch out an idea, and now you're going to schedule time for you to decompress
Right.
because you know it's coming, and you do this every single month. So our time period, this is, I always joke. You know how always they say like women don't forget anything?
Right. Right. Right.
You know that? You've ever heard that? Like women
Oh
just like we
yeah.
remember stuff forever all the time. Think about this, ladies. If we have 28 days to process information, so think high level in your business, and you have 28 days to then talk about it, get it, and then implement it, right? Guys, 24 hours. They think about it, they stop thinking about it, they're done, it's off their plate. You know
Mm-hmm.
why we hold on to information so long? Because it takes us 28 days to process fully everything that we're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we don't forget, but we hold on to it because we have to process it longer. We don't
Oh
close
yeah.
out at the end of the day. We close out at the end of our circadian rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the beauty of it. It's like once you start listening to your body and how it actually works, you're like, huh?
Ah.
Because it was so funny. I had my business partner today. I kind of flew off the handle. I was like totally out. They're like, what phase are you in this month? I'm like, I'm in my luteal phase. Everything needs to get done now. They're like, okay, take a deep breath.
Right. Man, awareness is key.
They're like, take a deep breath. I'm like, okay. Then I grab a whiteboard. I'm like, okay, I just got to think this out now.
Right.
But it's funny once you start seeing it and how it shows up, how much it does play into your day-to-day life as a woman.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
interesting. I
So
know.
interesting. Like, okay, so you've learned this, you have all these insights, you're applying it to your life, which is huge, right? No one ever wants to take advice from someone who's not taking their own advice, right?
Hmm.
So, how did all of this then now become or translate into the Truth Bomb Academy? How did you even come up with that name?
So Truth Bomb Academy came up during 2020, 2021. There was so much like misinformation and false information that was going on. And remember I was in digital marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So it originally started off as Truth Bomb Marketing because I was tired of all these people regurgitating information that was out of date for digital
Mm-hmm.
marketing. And I
Yeah,
was like, oh
okay.
my God, I just need to drop some truth bombs out there. So it was in my upset with how I was seeing experts being perceived. Like people were popping up overnight claiming they were experts in all these different areas, and I was like, dear Lord, no!
Everything.
Like we
Yeah.
we need to drop some truths here. So it started off as that, and then what it evolved into was I wanted to be mobile. I
Okay.
didn't want to be on social media. I had a lot of issues with building communities on these media platforms and the censorship. So, Truth on Academy really came around as the evolution of the mistrust of social media,
Hmm.
creating a safe haven for entrepreneurship, and then really defining it for women. So we brought in training for herself. So it's really about understanding yourself as a female. And then we started teaching business development. So how do you scale your business? What does that look like? And inside of that, we became fascinated with cash management. So how do you actually manage the cash flow in your business so that you are taking a paycheck every week,
Hmm.
that you are building up your, I guess, bonus, the profits of your business so you can pay yourself a quarterly bonus and then still maintain the overall integrity of your business financially. So Truth Mom Academy just really kind of blossomed into we want women to have a safe place to come talk about business, talk about their cycle, talk about food, and really have a more holistic approach. So that's really how it came about, and it's continued to evolve. Every woman that comes in is a contribution to what we create and what we continue, what we provide for women and what they provide for other women.
Hmm.
It's all in a it's all a system that locks together.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Building community, that's something that is huge. For successful women, we end up on these islands, in our industries or in our organizations if we're not running it, or sometimes when we are running it, let's be clear.
Mm-hmm. No, it
So
is.
to be able to come together, with this mutual understanding and support, that is going to change the game for so many women who are unaware of everything you've got going on. That's huge.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's interesting too when you mentioned that it's like you can have very successful women and they still feel like an island because they don't have a community at that level to
Hmm.
integrate with, right? So it wasn't like there's this beginner level, and we said we don't want the beginner level necessarily in business. We want the woman that's in the business
Hmm.
that feels like she's coaching and teaching others, but she herself doesn't have somebody to talk to,
Right.
somebody to talk about what's actually happening in her business and help her navigate that world in it
Hmm.
because there's just it feels like you're all alone when you build your business at that level and you're helping so many people. Who's helping you? Like
Right.
where is that group that's that next level?
And that's one of the major causes of the burnout we were talking about, right? It's just you get burnt out, you're spent, right? Because you didn't have the opportunity to be poured into, but now you do,
Yeah,
y'all. You got Chef Katrina here. She'll give you the recipe for success.
I will. I love the recipe.
All right, so really quickly, because in true nature, the time goes by
Mm.
so fast. But I really want you to share with me and with everyone listening, what is unlocking my millions? We've got to know.
So ladies, no, this is good question. So when we originally created Unlocking My Millions, it was around business. It was really around supporting women. And we went through all the business plans that men had given us and we started changing the language.
Mm,
So we looked at, okay, the principles of business are the same. You need an audience, you need a product, you need something like that, like gravity, right? Like you kind of still need that,
right,
right?
right, right. Not going anywhere.
But what we learned as we were working with women going through the beta and creating this is that the language didn't make sense to them.
Mm,
It came across too harsh. They were beating themselves up for not being at that level or not having an understanding of that. So we learned how to shift the language for women.
mm,
So Unlocking My Millions first started off as that was just the business development. Like how do you grow and scale your business as a woman? And really what it became was how do women become unlocked? How
mm,
do we as women unlock the next millionaire? And that was for me, it's where each woman holds the key to unlocking the potential of another woman.
mm.
So when we
Wow.
started talking about Unlocking My Millions, it was about the whole purpose, the mission is to bring together over 1 million women and have that be the experience that each one of you holds the key to unlocking a greater potential in another woman because you know something about business or something about raising kids or something about health that's going to transform her life. So Unlocking My Millions is the training ground for how to build a business, but it's the women you meet in there that will transform everything you think you know about business.
Wow. That's powerful. So powerful. Okay, okay. I mean, okay, I got to get my words together because everything you just said was amazing. And I'm still, according to Chef Katrina, I'm going to still be processing this conversation over the next 2, 3 weeks. But I just, passing that torch, shedding the light for the next woman, that's amazing. It comes together or it's in alignment with building that community, right? Not just showing up for yourself. What am I going to get out of this, right? Most women, we actually don't think that way. It's actually strange when we encounter another woman and we're like, wow, she's just only thinking about herself. But the fact that you can now bring these attributes into a successful business community, that's amazing too. Because so often, again, we have to choose between our natural kind of nurturing selves and the cutthroat businesswoman, she's a what, or we have to put on this personality that we have to be tough in a man's world, all those things, right? But really,
boss babe, we gotta be bossy, we have all these. Anyway, yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The things. And so to be able to just kind of embrace our womanhood in a professional way in a community setting, I mean, you've got a mix of gold here. This is perfect. So, again, I could talk to you all day long, and we're definitely going to have you back to follow up and to continue the conversation. But for now, believe it or not, it is time for the final word. So, Chef Katrina, drop us with some knowledge. Either reiterate a point you've already shared, or bring us in something new that you just really want us to marinate on until we see you again.
So my final word for you, for ladies, is that it really takes something to stop and listen to yourself. And so I'm going to invite you to really do what we are conditioned not to do, which is rest. Take 5 minutes to yourself, whether taking a deep breath, coloring in a coloring book, playing a song, something you can dance out to. But I want you to incorporate the world of rest into your life, because it is critical for your health, both mentally, physically, for your family, for your spouse, that if you take time for you, don't think of it as selfish. Don't consider it mom guilt. Look at it as, this is time so that I can replenish my cup so I can continue to give from it.
Wow. That's what she said, y'all. You embrace this season of rest. It is not selfish. It's not mommy guilt. But make sure your cup is full, or at least adequately, adequately supplied, so that you can pour into others. This is huge. This is amazing. Chef Katrina, I cannot thank you enough for participating in this candid conversation. Y'all, we did not rehearse this. She did not know every single thing I was going to ask her, but I'm so blessed and so honored and so grateful that you chose to spend this time with us. Y'all, true to form, we have all the links and all the things, okay? You want more of Chef Katrina, you want her recipes for success, we're going to give them to you. You're going to check out her website, truthbombmarketing.com. We've got her YouTube. We've got her podcast. Yes, check it out, y'all. We are not about gatekeeping or competition. We collaborate over here in the Crown Level Confidence community. So I encourage you, check out her podcast too. You're already listening to one. Hop on over to Truth Bomb Marketing Podcast, okay? And you can email her. We have different ways for y'all to keep in touch. Work with her, right? Let her know you found her from Crown Level Confidence Podcast, but only if you're not going to get crazy. If you're going to get crazy, remain anonymous. We only have high quality referrals in this royal community, okay? Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Crown Level Confidence, where we're leading women worldwide to lower their stress and raise their levels of confidence. I'm your host, Kalia Janae, and I love y'all, but more importantly, I'm so grateful that you love me too. All right, y'all, that's a wrap. Thank you for tuning into another empowering episode of Crown Level Confidence with Kalia Janae. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and found it both insightful and inspiring. If you'd like to be a featured guest on the show and share your journey of confidence and self-belief, please reach out to me at podcast@kaliajanae.com. I'm always eager to connect with remarkable individuals who have a story to tell. And for those interested in connecting with me for speaking engagements or mindset coaching, you can find more information on my website, kaliajanae.com. I'd love to hear from you and explore how we can work together to inspire and empower others. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode filled with actionable tips and heartfelt stories. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd truly appreciate it if you could leave a review on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and inspire even more people to straighten their crowns. Remember, your journey to unstoppable confidence is a continuous adventure. I'm happy to support you every step of the way. Keep believing in yourself, keep shining, and always wear your crown with pride. Until next time, this is Kalia Janae, your host, signing off. Stay confident, stay empowered, and keep leveling up.